I am going to turn this over to Nicole and put her in the driver's seat. I'm excited to welcome Nicole. Take it away.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you, UVA, for joining us for this webinar. Today I'm going to show you why lab minimalism is the most practical answer to lab management. I'll cover 3 ways to reduce lab waste and present a few scientist success stories. I'll highlight how lab minimalism can support your lab results and help you compete for funding. There are 3 main areas affected by laboratory waste. The first is economics. Lab waste feeds into both the direct costs and indirect costs of NIH-funded research projects. These costs extend from your lab to your university. The second impact of laboratory waste is on the health and well-being of the people in the lab. The materials involved in your laboratory work can present exposure hazards that challenge lab safety. To that point, lab waste is also a mental distraction. There's work involved in meeting safety regulations. Then there's confusion about eco-friendly materials disposal. Finally, the public is increasingly expecting environmental accountability from life science. Here is the classical material flow in labs. Research requires a high throughput of materials. Each lab orders materials for their own work. Reliability and upfront costs are the only deciding factors for each lab, as ordering is done individually. Only the most expensive equipment, such as confocal microscopes or mass specs, are shared. Individual labs do not generally share freezer space, centrifuges, or hoods with nearby labs. Materials are stored at distant locations in the building. This leads to stockpiling at lab benches and/or in non-inventory department stockrooms. Inventory lists are not available to lab members. Lab staff often spend a lot of time moving supplies around the building. Various labs have no idea what surplus may be available within the organization. Disposal can be inconveniently located with confusing options. This leads to higher volumes of non-diverted recyclables and hazardous waste. In the words of a green champion scientist, we can do better. Lab minimalism can be accomplished with 3 plans of action. These include setting up an environmentally preferred purchasing system, using shared organizational resources, and practicing waste accountability. Scientists sometimes recoil at the mention of going green in the lab. Maybe that's because going green can sound like a distraction. The truth is that it supports overall lab productivity. Practicing lab minimalism will give you the best economic, environmental, and safety outcomes for your lab. Environmentally preferable purchasing is a system to cut costs and protect the environment. Ideally, it incorporates the product's full life cycle, including its manufacturer, usage, and disposal. The EPA has some broad guidelines for eco-friendly purchasing. They say to look for products with multiple green attributes, full life cycle information, and eco-labels. Here are some eco-labels already used by UVA. Unfortunately, the EPA doesn't have specific guidance for the vast array of laboratory products. Environmentally preferred purchasing issues are huge for labs. Lab work requires high performance and high throughput of materials. Regulated waste disposal costs 10 to 100 times more than solid waste for recycling. The healthcare sector has a similar problem with a lack of specific EPA guidance. Hospitals have made an effort by creating a set of standardized environmental questions. This slide shows their list. It doesn't cover chemicals. Hospitals recognize the huge cost of material waste. It's also a bit easier to assess their needs due to materials reporting. But it's similar to research labs because disposable items comprise 90% of their biomedical device waste. They also know that they can sell paper and equipment waste to recyclers. There is no established system or similar set of standard questions for research labs. It's an evolving area that people are working on. Glove stories on Labconscious.com show the ways that scientists have collaborated to organize environmentally preferred purchasing. The antibody company, Cell Signaling Technology, was buying small quantities of gloves from numerous sources. CSD scientists switched to using nitrile gloves with Kimberly-Clark's Right Cycle program. Procurement was able to consolidate shipments, reduce packaging waste, and avoid shipping fees. Non-hazardous gloves were diverted from landfill or incineration. Similar programs were set up by UChicago Green Labs and the University of Arizona. At MIT, the Chemical Engineering Department is currently piloting a lab glove recycling program. They negotiated directly with TerraCycle to retain glove source flexibility to suit their very needs. Postdoc Lisa Anderson is currently studying the net environmental impact of lab glove recycling versus waste-to-energy incineration. We will certainly share the news of her results on Labconscious.com. These efforts show that different strategies can be used to suit your environmentally preferred purchasing goals. We know that putting sustainability up front is the key to success. Pharmaceutical companies have enjoyed an enormous return on investment by switching to green chemistry manufacturing processes. Academic research labs can also use green chemistry to avoid the danger and expense of hazardous waste. Of course, it's critical to maintain reliable results and your creative freedom. You might ask for free samples of any commercially produced green alternatives before switching your lab protocols. Some examples to think about for life science might be replacing ethidium bromide or SDS page stains with non-toxic gel stains, replacing radioactive protein labeling with photoreactive, colorimetric, or fluorescence, replacing formaldehyde fixation of tissues with Kinfix, an inexpensive, non-toxic fixative that produces high-quality samples, amendable to downstream methods. Purchasing only mercury-free thermometers. I highly recommend using the My Green Lab assessment service available to UVA for specific recommendations. If you have experience switching to a green chemistry life science protocol, let us know at Labconscious. So speaking of My Green Lab, as you know, lab products are very diverse. My Green Lab is piloting a program to make green purchasing third-party certifiable for scientists. The ACT label is an environmental impact factor label for life science products. The ACT database has independently audited scores based on mini life cycle product assessments. Low scores are best, but products are not expected to be perfect. It can also provide constructive feedback for manufacturers. This is a practical system for evaluating green lab product design. I highly encourage you to participate in the ACT label pilot. Some life science companies have already made efforts at eco-design. It's up to you to determine the best fit products for your lab and infrastructure. Labcon is one of my favorite examples. Their earth-friendly pipette tips and centrifuge tubes are made of sustainable sugar cane bio-based resin. Packaging is minimized. Their design covers good disposal options well, be it waste to energy incineration, recycling, or composting. There are some caveats to environmentally preferred purchasing for labs. It's important to build in flexibility for urgent shipments and personal preference. Using a single source can also restrict the system's resiliency in times of changing economic materials markets and future improvements to lab to waste diversion technology. At Labconscious.com, we made an effort to create a small database of Green Lab products. It's by no means complete. We are finding that more suppliers have been adding web pages to highlight their greener lab products, which is great. So enough on green purchasing. On to the next Lab Minimalism topic, shared resources. What are sustainable science labs doing? Well, they are looking for opportunities to automate inventory, to make stock supplies close distances to, but not at lab benches. They are finding ways to create networks within the organization to make surplus materials and equipment accessible. They are setting up convenient support services like solution-making staff and consignment. Here are some ways to approach streamlined purchasing. Quartzy is a free online lab management platform to automate the inventory and ordering process. It can help you to consolidate shipments to avoid shipping fees and to reduce packaging waste. You can find more software programs like this at labworm.com. In some cases, in-house support staff can handle the work scientists spend ordering and doing inventory. You can also get outside help. The supply company, BWR, offers consulting services to help any size organization target sustainability. Here I have my little meme waiting for the right moment to take lab inventory. Surplus can really add up. The University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, started a sustainable lab program in 2011. At this point, over 10,000 people are involved through 200 plus participating labs. Their Chem Reuse program, in particular, has produced a cultural change in their labs. Excess chemicals and materials are no longer trashed when labs are closed out or a research focus is changed. A Google Docs database is used to organize donations and orders. They secured EPA licenses to move chemical stocks around the campus. They are now even sharing equipment and materials. It is a safe and fruitful system. For example, one professor saved $11,000 setting up his new lab. Here are some examples of networking tools to share resources. Reaply is an online platform to connect scientists to research cheaply. Scientists can use it to easily buy, sell, trade, donate, or rent institutional resources and establish collaborations. Reaply has one case study showing a 30% reduction in on-site stocking of materials. The University of California, Santa Barbara has an exceptional shared instrumentation network webpage that you can check out online. This tool was created for all the campus departments to share equipment. It also provides resources for interdisciplinary collaborations on and off campus. I also wanted to highlight that UVA can access Virginia's e-procurement portal through Molmart. The award-winning EVA technology can reduce the cost of goods and shipping. This is a brand new case study authored by UC Boulder. It demonstrates the benefits of a shared biochemistry cell culture facility with a facility manager supporting scientists. The outcome was impressive. Both scientists and the facility saved big, on the order of over $250,000 yearly. The study showed that 86% of cell culture is being done in individual labs at surveyed universities. Meanwhile, setting up a shared facility like this is cost-effective with only 6 to 8 labs. The authors of this study suggest integrating shared research assets into grant proposals as a best practice. More on that later. An immediate benefit of lab minimalism is clear bench space. It frees your mind for creative thought. I personally made a switch from an individual lab tissue culture space to a shared space. I can tell you that it is fantastic. With the green lab trend taking off across the scientific community, it's a good time to ask yourself, what is essential to my lab work, and can I use a shared resource instead? The third part of lab minimalism is waste accountability. Eco-friendly technology requirements have cut the number of landfills in the U.S. down from 20,000 down to 1,700. This is another reason why waste diversion is important. As mentioned, hazardous waste is the most expensive waste to dispose of. Know your rules so you don't mix in with regular waste. Just also don't get over enthusiastic and ruin a collection of recycling by mixing materials. China recently changed its rules to refuse recyclables from overseas. This was a reaction to the impossibly mixed collections it was receiving. Good sorting is the key to recycling. Avoid the recycling red herring. There was a situation in the UK years back where the public was encouraged to switch from disposable diapers to reusable diapers in diaper cleaning services. Data later showed that this was worse for the environment. Match your disposal services. The systems are strategically fit to your institution's flow of materials. Recycling choices are verified by inputting your institution's waste streams into the EPA's worm calculator. Your follow-through on using the right disposal is very important to sustainability at UVA. If you are recycling at lunch, you can keep up that habit in your lab. There is also a top-down aspect to all of this. Public funding carries an implied duty to support the common good. The idea of sustainable science funding has led scientists to look for opportunities to increase the effective use of research dollars and to minimize the environmental impact of research work. In response to this situation, the Bringing Efficiency to Research Grants University Alliance Group is calling for voluntary inclusion of sustainable practices in grant proposals. Hundreds of universities have joined sustainable networks and set goals. The goodwill of UVA scientists is key to achieving UVA's own goal to reduce its total weight of waste by 50%. Here are some Green Lab tips for targeting lab minimalism from Labconscious. Use 15 minutes of your lab meetings to plan targets. Target one project at a time until mastered. Start with the easiest to achieve. Report target progress briefly by email. Reduce lab waste up front in your experimental designs. Network on plans to leverage lab resources. Make disposal options clear and convenient. Green champion scientists take heart. Successful system-wide changes start with small, connected groups. Please visit us at labconscious.com for news and collections of helpful resources for green labs. We are supported by New England Biolabs, a company of scientists producing best-in-class life science reagents. I have invited your local sales rep, Jens Eriksson, to talk about NEB's efforts on sustainable life science. Welcome, Jens.
Thank you, Nicole. I am your local NEB account manager, and I've been working with NEB for about a year and a half. Prior to joining NEB, I've worked in sales in a couple of different roles, most recently for a company selling next-gen sequencing, PCR, and qPCR reagents. I have a bachelor's degree from North Carolina State University in biological sciences, and I've also worked for over 7 years in molecular biology research. Environmental stewardship is one of the founding principles of NEB. By promoting sound ecological practices and environmental sustainability, NEB works to protect and preserve natural resources both locally and globally. We continuously strive for improvement in our business processes in order to minimize and also, where possible, mitigate our impact on the environment. NEB has received ISO 14001 certification, which is a quality standard for environmental management systems. NEB also operates the longest running shipping box recycling program, which diverts cardboard and polystyrene away from landfills. Simply, customers can return the boxes using the prepaid labels that come on the boxes. We also have our NEB Now automated freezer programs, which is another example of our commitment to sustainability. These on-site freezers allow us to supply products to institutions with consolidated shipments and thereby reducing waste from transportation. The program also offers additional discounts and conveniences to users. And there's some pictures here showing examples of what those units look like. Currently at UVA, there's not an NEB Now unit, but customers can purchase NEB products through MoleMart. Not only is this convenient for customers, but there's also cost savings. The discount through MoleMart is 9.8% off list price, and there's no shipping charges. Additionally, natural resources are conserved because of the consolidated shipments. I wanted to share another example of NEB's commitment to sustainability. When we set out to design our new line of nucleic acid purification kits, one requirement that we had was that they must be more sustainable than current kits on the market. We've seen and experienced that there's so much plastic waste from kits like these that we really wanted to make a difference by making a more environmentally friendly option. We therefore engineered our new Monarch nucleic acid purification kits with columns and collection tubes that are made of an average of 33% less plastic than the leading supplier, thus reducing the amount of raw materials used in production. We also made sure that the packaging was recyclable and, wherever possible, made from recycled materials. And we also wanted to make sure that the boxes were nice enough that people could keep them and reuse them for storage in their labs. Every little bit that we can do helps, and it all adds up. And that was our approach with these Monarch nucleic acid purification kits. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you today. And I will now turn the presentation back over to Christine.
Thank you to all of our listeners and our participants, and many thanks to Nicole and Jens for taking the time to share your expertise about lab sustainability. UVA Sustainability will be hosting World Water Day events throughout the month of March. Our busiest time of year, Earth Week, is just around the corner. It's from April 16th to the 22nd. So please visit sustainability.virginia.edu to get a full list of all the events coming up and ways that you can participate. Also, if you would like to share this webinar, I have recorded it, and it will be posted on UVA Green Lab's website. If you have any questions, please email either myself, Christine Alencar at greenlabs@virginia.edu, or you can reach Nicole at info@labconscious.com. Also, for anyone who participated in this webinar today, if you would like to receive a free sample mini prep kit from New England Biolabs through Jens, he will be giving out samples, DNA purification kits, to anyone who has a use for something like that or who is interested. So feel free to email either one of those contacts on the last slide to take advantage of that free sample. Again, thank you all, and have a more sustainable year, and enjoy using these tips about lab minimalism.